All right, guys. So the idea that critical race theory is not being taught in public schools or not being pushed, or it's not being kind of finessed through the school system is debunked. Okay, it's about to be debunked because the National Education Association, which is the largest teacher union in the country, has basically approved a plan to promote critical race theory in schools, in public schools, right? Again, like I said, this document right here that comes out about their new plans and how they want to fight back against the anti-critical race theory rhetoric and defend the anti-racist teachers in their schools, again, is direct evidence that at the very, very least, they're okay with teachers just kind of going out on their own and teaching the whole anti-racist Ibram X. Kendi ideology to students, right? They're okay with teachers teaching forms of Marxism to students, okay? That's at the very least, this is what this proves. As this document right here, it's probably, looks like it's from a meeting that they had, right, in which this is basically going to outline kind of their new guidance in regards to combating the whole anti-critical race theory rhetoric, because you have parents across the country who are standing up against critical race theory, right? They're fighting back. They're standing up against these school boards that, are promoting this type of stuff in schools. So obviously this has created some issues, right? This has created some controversy. So they're trying to figure out a way to respond. So let's read this document here. It says the NEA will, with guidance on the implementation from the NEA president and the chairs of the Ethnic Minority Affairs Caucuses, share and publicize through existing channels information already available on critical race theory, what it is and what it's not. Have a team of staffers for members who want to learn more and fight back against anti-critical race theory rhetoric, and share information with other NEA members as well as their community members. Okay, so again, for those conspiracy theorists like Joy Reid, who say that critical race theory is not being taught in schools, and for all those people who say that the right is outraged for no reason, okay, if it's not being taught in schools, if it's truly not being taught in schools, it has no effect on the school system, then why the hell do they need to do this? Why do you need to do it? You shouldn't need to push back against anti-critical race theory rhetoric if it's not being taught in school. Yeah, let's use some common sense here. Provide an already created an in-depth study that critiques empire, white supremacy, anti-blackness, anti-indigeneity, racism, patriarchy, cis heteropatriarchy, capitalism, ableism, anthropocentralism, and other forms of power and oppression at the intersections of our society, and that we oppose attempts to ban critical race theory and or the 1619 Project. Again, this is direct evidence here, right? So basically they're saying, listen, we don't want to ban critical race theory or the 1619 Project. Okay, again, if it's not being taught in schools, if it's not being implemented, then why is it that you're concerned about it being banned? If it's being banned and you're not teaching it, then you shouldn't worry about it. You shouldn't care. But see, that's not what's happening here. It's not what's happening. Again, this is proof. Publicly through existing media, convey its support for accurate and honest teaching of social studies topics, including truthful and age-appropriate countings of unpleasant aspects of American history, such as slavery and the oppression and discrimination of indigenous, black, brown, and other peoples of color, as well as the continued impact this history has on our current society. The association will further convey that in teaching these topics, it is reasonable and appropriate for the curriculum to be informed by academic frameworks for understanding and interpreting the impact of the past on current society, including critical race theory. So yeah, this is basically talking about how it supports critical race theory, which is basically looking at history through the lenses of race. This is exactly what it's saying here, right? This is what it's saying, right? Which, again, you can teach social studies and history without critical race theory. That's the thing that really kind of gets me with these people, right? Where they try to act like that, people who want to ban critical race theory want to ban the teaching of slavery and Jim Crow. No, everybody learned about slavery and Jim Crow. Everybody learned about what happened. Everybody knows what happened, right? It's just that you don't have to teach it through the lenses of critical race theory where you racialize all aspects of history. That's the difference, right? That's the difference. D, join with Black Lives Matter at school and the Zen Education Project to call for a rally this year on October 14th, George Floyd's birthday, as a national day of action to teach lessons about structural racism and oppression, followed by one day of action that recognizes and honors the lives such as Breonna Taylor, Philando Castile, and others. The National Education Association shall publicize these days of action to all its members, including the NEA today. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna celebrate people like George Floyd. Okay, again, putting in the minds of young people that this is who you should look up to. You should look up to the George Floyds of the world and the Breonna Taylors of the world. Okay, those are the role models that they're trying to provide for people in today's society, right? Let's take down statues of Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln. Okay, let's take down those statues. Let's honor George Floyd. Okay, this teacher union is full-blown left-wing, far-left, just a propaganda organization. It just is. I don't understand how anybody can read this and be comfortable with this type of stuff. I mean, this was adopted, right? Adopted. They agreed on this. This is crazy. This is left-wing insanity, purely. Conduct a virtual listening tour that will educate members on the tools and resources needed to defend honesty and education, including but not limited to tools like critical race theory. Commit President Becky Pringle to make public statements across all lines of media that support racial honesty and education, including but not limited to critical race theory. I don't think anybody's against racial honesty, right? I mean, again, nobody's against teaching Jim Crow or slavery or any of that stuff, right? It's that what people are against is this idea that certain races of people are better than another race of people, right? Or that certain races of people are being oppressed or that they are oppressors. That's what people are against. You can teach history without drilling that idea into people's heads, right? You can teach history without that, but for some reason they just don't believe they can. They don't believe they can. They're gonna try to implement this. They said this item can't be accomplished with current staff and resources under the proposed modified 2021-2022 strategic plan and budget. It would cost an additional $127,600. Okay, so they're gonna pay almost $127,000 to brainwash kids, right? And this right here is about defending anti-racist teachers, right? Like, look at this one right here. The attacks on anti-racist teachers are increasing, coordinated by well-funded organizations such as the Heritage Foundation. We need to be better prepared to respond to these attacks so that our members can continue this important work. So yeah, they're just openly promoting anti-racist teachers. And you gotta understand that what they mean by anti-racist teachers, guys, is not teachers that are saying that racism is bad. That's not what it just is. What it is that anti-racist means that teach the idea that white people are oppressors and that other groups of people are oppressed. And because of this historical oppression, right, and the conflict between the oppressors and the oppressed, right, from a racial lens, that is, we must radically restructure our institutions and society to atone for the oppression of the past. That's essentially what it calls for. That's what the anti-racist teachings are, right? That's the policies that they call for. Again, comes from the Ibram X. Kendi, his ideology, which again is just really a different form of critical race theory. It's a branch of critical race theory, even though he says it's not. It actually really is. It actually really is, and this is the problem. This is the problem. So, as you guys can see there, this is what's coming down the pipeline from the largest teachers union in this country, right? And this is why so many parents are standing up, man. And it's just amazing to me how the left-wing media has tried to make it seem like these parents are complaining for nothing when we have direct evidence that the teachers unions are supporting this, right? And the teachers unions, they fund the politicians, right? They fund Joe Biden. They fund his administration. They are in bed with the Democrats. So the Democrats are in bed with it, right? And that's just kind of how it goes. This is why school choice is so important. This is why funding students instead of systems is so important, because that's really the best way to fight back against this. Giving parents the choice to send their kids to schools that don't teach this type of toxic ideology and that really focuses on the foundations of education, which is science, math, reading, history, right? That's not taught through the lenses of race, that everything's not racialized. That's what students really should be learning. But as you can see here, this teachers union thinks that, they have to go out of their way to defend this stuff, even though they say it's not being taught in schools. That's what they say. But again, it's just one of those things where the Democrats, they don't want you to believe what you're saying, even though what you're saying is obvious. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.